My name is Elena Whitmore. I'm 36 years old. For most of my adult life, I believed that love was built on tolerance, on being patient, on not making a big deal out of things that could be explained away if you tried hard enough. I met Ryan Caldwell 8 years ago. We weren't fireworks, we were structure, stability, shared calendars, and predictable weekends. And for a long time, I told myself that was better. We lived together, split groceries, talked about retirement accounts and vacation days. From the outside, we looked solid, mature, the kind of couple people assume will last simply because they've already lasted this long. Looking back now, I understand the difference between stability and safety. At the time, I didn't. The dinner was Ryan's company's annual event, one of those polished, soulless evenings where everyone pretends the food isn't dry and the laughter isn't forced. He'd insisted I come, said appearances mattered, said it would look bad if he showed up alone. So I put on a black dress I rarely wore, styled my hair, and reminded myself that supporting your partner sometimes meant enduring things you didn't enjoy. The night started fine. I smiled. I nodded. I listened. I made conversation about projects I didn't care about with people who didn't care about me. Ryan floated between groups, confident and relaxed, the version of himself he reserved for rooms full of witnesses. Around 9, the drinks started stacking up. Voices got louder. Barriers dropped. Ryan's boss took over the table, telling stories that weren't funny but were laughed at anyway. Ryan laughed the hardest. I noticed it, filed it away. Then someone, one of his coworkers, made a comment about relationships. Something lazy, something half-joking about how women always expect too much. A few people chuckled awkwardly, and that's when Ryan leaned back in his chair and said, loud enough for the entire table to hear, "Trust me, some of us learn to settle." The air shifted. I turned toward him, confused at first, like I'd misheard. He kept going. No woman would actually want her if they knew what they were getting. Someone inhaled sharply. Someone else stared into their glass. Ryan smiled. Not embarrassed, not nervous. Deliberate. Honestly, he added, waving his hand toward me, like I was an object being appraised. She's small in every way that matters. He winked. A couple of people laughed. Thin, uncomfortable sounds. His boss grinned openly, like this was entertainment. I felt heat crawl up my neck, felt every eye on me, waiting, wondering if I'd explode, if I'd cry, if I'd make it worse. Ryan watched me, curious. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't insult him back. I looked at him for a long moment and said one word. All right. I adjusted my watch, a nervous habit I've had since college. Then I stood up. I didn't rush, didn't slam my chair. I walked out like I was leaving any other dinner. Behind me, Ryan called out, annoyed. Where are you going? Are you serious right now? I didn't answer. In the car, I sat with my hands on the wheel and felt something settle inside me. Not anger, not sadness. Clarity. At home, I poured a drink and sat in the dark, replaying not just the night, but years of moments just like it. Comments disguised as jokes, criticism framed as honesty. He came home after midnight, drunk and loud. You're really mad about that, he said. Everyone laughed. You're so sensitive. I didn't argue. I'm going to bed, I said. You can take the couch. His face hardened. You're pathetic, he said. This is exactly what I meant. I closed the bedroom door behind me, and for the first time in 8 years, I slept knowing something had ended, even if neither of us had said it out loud yet. I woke up to sunlight I didn't want. My body felt normal. No hangover, no shaking hands, no dramatic collapse. That's what scared me most. The calm. The clean, quiet certainty that settled into my bones sometime after I shut the bedroom door. In the kitchen, the coffee maker clicked on at exactly 6:30 a.m., like it always did. The smell filled the air like routine, trying to soothe me back into denial. Ryan was already up. Not because he was thoughtful, not because he'd been lying awake regretting what he said. He was up because his shame never lasts longer than his sleep. He leaned against this counter in sweatpants, scrolling his phone like nothing happened. When he saw me, he smiled, easy, practiced. Morning, he said brightly. Want eggs? I can make eggs. I didn't answer. That made the smile falter just slightly, like a mask slipping off a face that forgot it had one on. He sighed, loud and theatrical. Okay, come on. Are we still doing this? I poured coffee slowly, watching the dark stream hit the mug. My hands weren't shaking. My voice wasn't either when I said, still doing what? The attitude. He motioned vaguely at me with his phone. The silent treatment. It was a joke, Elena. I turned to face him. No, I said, it wasn't. He rolled his eyes like I was a difficult coworker, not the woman who'd been beside him for 8 years. It was the wine. Everyone was drinking. You know how those dinners are. You humiliated me, I said, still quiet. In front of your boss, in front of strangers, people I'll never see again, and people you work with every day. His jaw tightened. God, you're making it sound so dramatic. You made it dramatic, I replied. You said it loud enough for half the table to hear. Ryan stepped closer, lowering his voice like he was doing me a favor. I didn't mean it like that. I stared at him. And then, because I wanted the truth more than I wanted peace, I said, So what did you mean? He hesitated. Just a beat, but it was enough. His eyes flicked away, and something sharper replaced the pretend apology. I mean, he shrugged, you're not exactly... He stopped himself, then continued anyway. You're not confident. You don't speak up. You just sit there and let things happen. My stomach tightened. So that makes it okay to degrade me? I didn't degrade you. He scoffed like I was accusing him of something ridiculous. I was being honest. You're too sensitive, Elena. You always have been. That word. Always. Like my pain was a character flaw. He leaned back against the counter, arms crossed, and his tone shifted into that familiar pattern, condescending compassion. Look, he said, I'm trying to make you stronger. You don't get it. You're lucky you have me. I laughed once. It surprised even me. It wasn't humor. It was disbelief. Lucky, I repeated. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Don't start acting like you're above me now. Above him. That was the thing he never said out loud until now. He believed I was beneath him. And last night, with alcohol and an audience, he let it slip. I set my coffee down carefully. Ryan, I said, I'm done. He blinked. Done with what? With this, I said. With the way you speak to me. With the way you look at me like I'm something you're stuck with. He stared for a second, and then he laughed. Actually laughed. No, you're not. I didn't move. Yes, I am. The laughter died slowly, like a candle losing oxygen. His expression shifted from amusement to irritation, then to something colder. You won't leave, he said, voice lowering. You don't have the guts. I felt that strange calm again. Watch me. For a moment, I saw something in his eyes. Panic, maybe. Not because he loved me, but because he could sense his control loosening. He recovered quickly. He always did. So what? You're going to break up because of one comment? He snapped. One stupid comment at a dinner? It wasn't one comment, I said. It was 8 years. He scoffed. 8 years? Really? So now you're rewriting history. No, I said. I'm finally reading it correctly. Ryan shook his head like he was disgusted by my audacity. You know what your problem is, he said. You want to be a victim. You want sympathy. You love this. My throat tightened, but I didn't let it show. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction. I want respect, I said simply, and you don't have it for me. He stared at me like I'd insulted him. Then his face changed, fast. You're not special, Elena, he said quietly. You think someone else is going to want you? You think you're a catch? My skin went cold. There it was again, his favorite weapon. Fear. The idea that I should stay because no one else would choose me. He stepped closer. You should be careful, he murmured, because you're not young forever, and you're not easy. I swallowed. Are you threatening me? He smiled. Small, mean. I'm warning you. I stared at him for a long moment, then nodded once. All right. He flinched at that word, like it carried a meaning he couldn't control anymore. I walked past him and into the bedroom. I closed the door and sat on the edge of the bed. Then I opened my laptop. Not because I wanted revenge, because I wanted out. I searched. Divorce attorneys near me, then corrected it because the truth hit me like a hard breath. We weren't married. No vows. No legal binding. Just 8 years and shared bills and the illusion that longevity meant commitment. That made it easier and harder at the same time. So I searched again. Lease rights when unmarried partner lives with you. Property ownership rights. Cohabiting. How to remove boyfriend from house legally? My pulse finally started to beat faster, not from fear, from momentum. Down the hall, I heard Ryan's phone ring. His voice dropped into a softer tone, sweet and wounded. The tone he used when he wanted to recruit someone to his side. I didn't need to hear the name to know who it was. His mother. And as I listened to him talk, painting himself as patient, me as unstable, I realized something else. Last night didn't just humiliate me. It exposed him. Because men like Ryan don't get cruel in public unless they feel safe doing it. Unless they believe no one will challenge them. Unless they think their partner is too small to leave. I closed the laptop and stared at the wall. A quiet thought formed, sharp as glass. If he thinks I'm small, he hasn't been paying attention. By Monday morning, I had stopped crying in the shower. That felt significant. I went to work like nothing was wrong. Sat in meetings, answered emails, nodded at the right moments. I've always been good at compartmentalizing, at putting emotional chaos into neat little boxes and locking them until I had time to deal with them properly. Ryan, meanwhile, was playing a different game. He texted me as if we were fine. "We'll talk tonight. You're overreacting. I told my mom you're stressed. She agrees." I didn't respond. At 10:14 a.m., I stepped into a glass-walled office on the 12th floor of a building downtown and introduced myself to Margaret Hale, an attorney whose handshake was firm and whose eyes missed nothing. "I want him out of my house," I said. "Clean, legal, fast." She didn't blink. "Tell me what we're working with." So I did. The house was mine, purchased 3 years before Ryan moved in. My name alone on the deed. I had documentation for everything: mortgage statements, property tax records, insurance, my savings, my investments, accounts he'd never asked about because he'd assumed I didn't have them. Margaret smiled, not kindly, but efficiently. "This is straightforward," she said. "He has no ownership claim. We can draft a formal notice of termination of cohabitation and give him 30 days to vacate. If you want leverage, we can shorten that." "I want leverage," I said. She nodded. "Employment situation?" "He works full-time at his company. He cares deeply about his image there." "Then we serve him at work." I hesitated for exactly 1 second. Then I thought about the way he'd smiled while humiliating me in front of his coworkers. "Do it!" The papers went out that afternoon. I didn't warn him. At 3:22 p.m., my phone rang. I didn't even need to answer to know. When I did, his voice was already shouting. "You had me served at my office," he yelled. "Are you insane? Everyone saw it." I leaned back in my chair, calm enough to surprise myself. "Yes," I said, "that was intentional." "You're trying to humiliate me." "No," I replied. "I'm ending this. The humiliation was your choice." He swore, loud, creative. "You think you're powerful now?" he snapped. "You think this makes you look strong?" "I think it makes this over," I said. "You have 30 days to move out." His voice cracked. "You can't do this to me." "I already have." He hung up. That evening, he came home with his mother. She walked into my house like she owned it. Heels sharp against the hardwood, chin lifted, judgment already loaded. "You need to stop this nonsense," she said, skipping any pretense of politeness. "You're being hysterical. You're going to ruin his life over a joke." I looked at her, then at Ryan, who stood behind her like a shield he hoped would fight for him. "I'm not ruining anything," I said. "I'm correcting a mistake." Her eyes narrowed. "You should be grateful. My son settled for you." Ryan didn't object. That silence told me everything. I smiled then, not out of kindness. "Interesting," I said, "because I own this house. I pay the bills, I hired the lawyer, and I'm the one giving him time to leave." Her mouth opened. Closed. Ryan stared at the floor. "Gather your things," I said calmly. "You're sleeping somewhere else tonight." His mother grabbed his arm and stormed out, muttering about ungrateful women and ruined men. I locked the door behind them. That night, I slept 8 uninterrupted hours. And somewhere across the city, Ryan realized something he'd never planned for. I wasn't bluffing. The quiet that followed was surgical. No slammed doors, no drunk texts at midnight, no sudden apologies delivered with emojis and empty promises. Just absence. Ryan collected his things in stiff, silent trips when I wasn't home. I could tell by what went missing. Shirts disappearing from the closet, his coffee mug gone, the extra charger vanishing from the nightstand. He didn't leave a note. He didn't say goodbye. That somehow hurt less than an apology would have. 2 weeks later, my phone buzzed with a message from an unfamiliar number. "Hi, Elena. This is Mark, from Ryan's accounting team. I don't know if I should be reaching out, but I was at the dinner. I saw what happened, and I think you deserve to know something." My chest tightened, not with fear, but with recognition. This was the moment my instincts had been circling since that night. I replied, "I'm listening." His response came immediately. "Ryan's been seeing someone from work. For months. I didn't know how serious it was until recently, but after everything that happened, it felt wrong not to tell you." I stared at the screen, strangely calm. "Who?" I typed. There was a pause. Then, his ex-girlfriend, Claire Benson. She transferred departments last year. She's been reporting directly to his boss. Of course, Claire. The name slid into place like the final piece of a puzzle I'd pretended wasn't on the table. The late nights, the sudden attention to his appearance, the way his boss had grinned while Ryan tore me down, the comfort in his cruelty. It all made sense. I forwarded the message to Margaret without commentary. She called me within 10 minutes. "That changes things," she said. "He'll want to settle quickly." She was right. 2 days later, Ryan's lawyer contacted mine. They wanted to sign. Immediately. No contest, no theatrics. The meeting was set for Monday morning. Ryan looked smaller when he walked into that office. No confidence, no swagger, just exhaustion and poorly hidden shame. He didn't look at me until the end. The papers were slid across the table. No claims, no appeals. 30 days reduced to 10. I signed without hesitation. So did he. In the hallway, he stopped me. "Elena," he said quietly, "I didn't mean it. Any of it." I looked at his hand, gripping my arm, and gently removed it. "You meant enough," I said. "Enough to say it out loud." His eyes filled with tears. "I loved you," he whispered. "No," I said. "You loved what I provided. The house, the stability, the way I made your life easier." He had no answer. I walked away. Behind me something broke. But it wasn't me. 2 months after Ryan moved out, the house stopped feeling haunted. I hadn't realized how much of him still lived in the walls. The echoes of criticism disguised as advice. The weight of his moods shaping the air in every room. Once he was gone, truly gone, the silence changed. It wasn't empty anymore. It was mine. I sold the house in early spring. Not because I needed to, but because I wanted a clean break. Too many memories clung to the corners. I bought a condo downtown. Glass, steel, sunlight pouring in through floor-to-ceiling windows. Smaller, yes, but lighter. Purposefully chosen. Work changed too. Without the constant low-grade stress of managing Ryan's emotions, my focus sharpened. A project I'd been quietly refining finally got the attention it deserved. Within weeks, my director called me into her office. Promotion, senior role, significant raise. I accepted without hesitation. Then, one Tuesday afternoon, an unfamiliar number lit up my phone. I almost ignored it. "Hello? Hi, Elena? This is Alex. I worked at Ryan's company." My stomach tightened, but my voice stayed steady. "Okay." "There's an investigation," he said. "HR, Ryan and Claire, emails, meetings that weren't really meetings. They were both terminated last week." I sat down slowly. "He's been telling people you're the reason," Alex continued. "That you reported him." "I didn't," I said. "I know. I just wanted you to hear it from someone who saw what happened." After we hung up, I felt nothing. No satisfaction, no sadness. Just distance. That weekend, I attended a charity event a colleague had insisted on dragging me to. I almost didn't go. Almost stayed home with a book and the comfort of solitude. That's where I met Ethan Moore. He wasn't flashy. He didn't dominate conversations or perform confidence. He listened, asked thoughtful questions, made me laugh without trying to impress me. We started with coffee, then dinner, then weekends that felt easy instead of earned. He knew I'd been hurt. He didn't ask for details. 3 months in, Ryan emailed me. "Please read this." I did. Apologies, therapy, regret, promises. I deleted it. That night, Ethan noticed I was quiet. "My ex reached out," I said. He nodded once. And I'm done," I replied. He smiled. "Good." 6 months after that dinner, I ran into Ryan by accident. A restaurant, a glance, 2 seconds of recognition. I looked away and kept talking to Ethan. Later, Ethan asked if I was okay. "I am," I said, and I meant it. People ask if I'm angry about the years I spent shrinking myself to fit someone else's insecurity. I'm not. Anger requires investment. I've moved on. Ryan thought I was small. He was wrong. I was just with someone who needed me to believe I was, so he could feel bigger. Now I know better.